Welcome, everybody. This is Avoiding the Addiction Affliction, brought to you by Westwards Consulting, the Kenosha County Substance Use Disorder Coalition, and by a grant from the state of Wisconsin's Dose Reality Real Talks, reminding you that opioids are powerful drugs and that one pill can kill. I'm Mike McGowan. Establishing and maintaining a healthy, vibrant, creative school or workplace culture is a challenging but an incredibly rewarding task. And that's only part of what my guest today does. Peggy Eserkaln is founder of Educational Improvisation, as well as an award-winning educator, an author, speaker, entertainer, and a mom with a master's degree, and as she says, a professionally trained funny bone. She's also a really good friend. Welcome, Peggy.
Hi, Mike. I'm so excited.
I know this is fun for me because we've known each other for a long time, and we did this special. I try to do something the day before Thanksgiving, the day before Christmas, or around then. It's a little bit different than we normally do. And I know you make stuff up, but I heard you introduce yourself recently to a group because I thought that'd be a good place to start. How'd you get into this stuff?
I happened to be graduating with my master's degree in speech language pathology, and I got a job in Green Bay as a speech language pathologist in Green Bay Public Schools. And a friend of mine took me to see an improv show. And this was in 1991, when even before Whose Line Is It Anyway and all the improv things. And I went, and I had a little bit of a background in theater. But I was so struck by what they were doing up there, and not necessarily in the comedic way, but in the team building and just the creativity happening. That the best I could describe it. To this day, I've not had this feeling again. That night, I felt like I was home.
Hmm.
It was like I saw something, and I always tell people that whole, I didn't even know what the word manifest meant at that time, but just that whole envisioning something. I like literally envisioned what this could be. And
Hmm.
that turned into educational improvisation. So it was just this right combination for me of community and being on stage, but not being alone on stage and really involving the community and the audience in the whole process of creating something. It obviously became a laser focused passion for me that never in a million years would I have just thought that, what, 35 years later, I'd be still as excited about it as I was in 1991.
If you're a teacher, you're already in front of people all the
Mhm.
time. But how did you? A lot of people go to stuff like that and enjoy it, obviously, but not a lot of people have the guts to say, I'm going up there.
That's always been Mike. I don't know. It's so funny talking about this whole Zoom, the whole now that things are on screen. I hate looking at myself on the screen,
Yeah.
but I cannot tell you how not self-conscious I am when I get up on stage. I get up on stage and I literally, my jitters go away. It's there when I first, but the moment I get up there, I don't know. I'm not nervous in front of a group of students. I am always a little bit because you never know what, but not to the extent that people say that they're more afraid of it than dying.
Yeah. I watch you
I
do it, and I would think that overcoming the fear of being judged is one of the first things you need to overcome.
I read that when you gave me like the outline of things. I read that a little bit, and I've been thinking a lot about that. To me, you're right with the fear. Like there's a fear, and I don't want to say it's fear of being judged. I don't know. That's not how it cultivates for me. I think that once you decide to do something for yourself,
Yeah.
that once that you are like, I believe in this. This is good for me. This is good for, I'm one of those people. It's good for me. I want 150 people to have it, right? So I don't ever get up on stage and worry about being judged. You heard me talk about this to the kids when we were together a few weeks ago, the high schoolers, that I learned from a gentleman named Pat McCurdy, who, if you have a Wisconsin audience, there's going to be some people who know who he is. Years and years ago, I'm a little bit younger than Pat, but not by much. He's a performer, a Wisconsin
Icon. He's an icon.
icon. He's an
Yeah.
icon. Anyway, and we were sitting and having a beer after I was judging myself after a show, and I'm like, I saw the one guy that wasn't having fun. And Pat goes, 80% rule. I said, what? I want you to succeed 80% of the time with 80% of the people and 80% of your material in 80% of days. Like that whole kind of forgive yourself for 20% of anything is huge, I think.
That's great.
Huge, huge.
Yeah, I like that.
And especially in now, in the culture that we're in with teens now, if we're going to get specific about teens, I am watching the fear of making a mistake
Yes.
absolutely hobble teens
Yeah.
in a much bigger way than it did in the last 20 years. Like I'm just watching it. We have with now people being able to put things on social media and the shadow judgment that comes with that and everything that goes with that. And I really worry about us not cultivating being uncomfortable and learning as we go putting something out there and then going, eh,
Mhm.
yeah, that again, back to that 80%. Okay, that's one of my 20 percenters that we're gonna laugh about because it went so poorly. But there has not ever been something in my life that I have failed at so big that it ruined my life.
We're still here.
We're still here.
It's interesting you said kids because I wanted to go there. And I do this when I'm talking to individuals, kids and adults, and I've watched you do it. So you have the kids around in a circle. And I already know, I know where you're going, right? So you're going to get them up doing something silly, like duck walking while squeaking or something. And I can tell the first ones that are going to get up. And I bet you can too. I just know who's going to get up. It's the kids who walk into that who have already let go of that, oh, I'm going to look silly. But what I watch for, and I don't know if you do, is I watch for the, oh, I don't know how to put this, the cool kids, the kids who live in that fear. I watch to see at what point do they join in, because they always do. But at what point do they go, oh, what the heck? And that's when you build culture, I think, when you can bring most of the people on board. I already know the first ones who are going to get up, but you must do something to encourage that group who is normally stuck to their chair in fear of being kicked out of the group to actually
Yep.
get up.
I give them choice and I give them permission. I give them the choice to not participate.
Mm,
Just simply saying, look, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you choose not to. I really would like you to, but I'm going to give you permission as long as you don't yuck somebody else's yum.
yeah.
As long as you don't, if you don't feel comfortable and you don't want to do this, I'm not going to make you do that. Having said that, I'm hoping that I show you by example that I'm willing to put myself a little bit out here and not in a comedy way. I'm just putting myself
Right.
out there in a, if you want to call it vulnerability, if you want to call it trial and error, I'm willing to do the trial and I'm willing to live with the error. If you're willing to do that in whatever way that you want to do it, I'm going to support you. And when those moments happen, which I just did a workshop for a boys' school, like a true reform school, it's like it's
Okay.
one step away from legit juvenile jail, right?
I worked
And
them.
yep, yep. And I went in, and of course, those boys, trauma, they're operating from trauma, right? And we managed in an hour to get all of those boys
Oh,
to enjoy some piece of it, including the biggest, toughest. But here's the thing, the biggest, toughest kids are oftentimes your biggest hearted kids as well.
yes. Yeah.
And so if you can signal to them that I'm going to make this a safe space for you to just shine a little bit, that's huge.
You do that again, you invite me. I want to watch that. I worked in those places, and that is an awesomely great task. And if you can build culture there, you can build it anywhere. You just said something, though, that I think is really important in culture. And you put it a different way. You said something. Did I get it right? You can't yuck somebody's yum.
Yes, I
So,
learned that from, okay, that was, I have to give props to Vicky Landers. I don't know if she still is, was a health teacher in West Superior Middle School when I think she might still be working there. And I don't know where she got it from, but when she taught the mental health part of and the culture
sure.
part of middle school, that you're not allowed to yuck somebody's yum. I love that. I'm sure she didn't come up with it, but just that idea of you don't have to like this, but you don't get to pollute. You don't get to pollute what's happening for other people.
I talk about that a lot because that parking lot talk or behind the door talk that people do is what keeps people fixed in an unhealthy culture. So if you don't criticize, it allows creativity to take place. Okay, so where does creativity come from?
I truly believe that truly believe we all have the equal amount of creativity. Creativity gets its home base or gets its like identity in the arts because it's so blatantly obvious. But I do believe that everyone has innovation and creativity in them. And I don't know if it's where it comes from. It's all in us. I think you have to both do your own work to get comfortable to show it to someone and overcome your own, also your own restrictions. I'm not an artist, therefore I'm not creative. Baloney.
Yes.
Sometimes I had some street construction going on here. And, a lot of people would not consider that a creative, but I watched them have a problem with whatever the heck they were doing. And I watched them think it through and I watched them try a few different things. And I watched them, whatever they were trying to extract or whatever, get unlodged. And of course, then they all give each other high fives. And these are guys working in the rain, working at the heat or
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, so that I think discovering your own creativity is letting go of this weird definition we have of it that it can only happen in this space or that space. It can't happen in an industrial space. It can't happen in a I can't give a specific example, but dang well that there are many people who get super creative with how they're going to either be in their tractor on a field. They're going to do something that makes their life more enjoyable doing some hard labor stuff. That's creativity.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it starts is stop labeling yourself as I'm not a creative person.
That's awesome. How does that group healthy culture come about? What are the components to create a healthy group culture? You worked in education. You had to work, some years were probably healthier than others in your building. And then what also, on the flip side, what makes it toxic? And by the way, since it's day before Thanksgiving, these are transferable to families, I would think.
Carol Burnett is my all-time idol. And
You got to
I
perform with her a little, right?
yes, I did. God, yes, I did.
So
Yes, I
divert,
did.
tell that
Well, yeah.
first.
Oh, Carol Burnett has been my 110% idol my entire life. And for my 50th birthday, I threw a Hail Mary and that's the only time I've ever gotten online, like at midnight to get tickets or whatever, because she was touring during her like a night with Carol Burnett and she was coming to Milwaukee. And I got on at midnight and I have four best friends that we've been best friends for 40 years. And the five of us went. And but long story short, at the very end, she asked for one more person if they wanted to do a question. I shot my hand up, I got the mic, and when I was in fourth grade, I won a talent contest imitating her pigeon lady. Here, PG, 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 which is the whole thing. And I told her that, and I
Oh,
thanked her. I thanked her for. I said, I don't have a question. I said, I just want to thank you for. And of course, I'm bawling. I want to thank you for the beacon that you have been. And I said, and I just have a request. I said, can we do a pigeon lady sketch? And she kind of smirked and she sits back in her chair and she says, okay, go ahead, start. And I'm like, so she's telling me, start the skit with me.
yeah. Wow.
And I
In
said,
front of an audience to get to see her.
in front of her, I don't give a
Yeah.
crap about the
Okay, right,
audience.
right. Okay, sorry.
In
Yeah.
front of her. And I said, okay, I've never done this while I'm hyperventilating because I was. And so I did the here the pigeons are I can't even get close to it now because I whatever, but I hear the pigeons are out. So the thing here, Mike, to know is that a true improviser, a truly good performer, will set the other performer up. And so she is the person I wanted to say here, Pidgey, because that's her class, like here, Pidgey. And so I set her up. I talked like the pigeon lady. I'm like, it's a good day out and pigeons are coming, but I can't find them. And she knew I set her up. And then she did the call, similar to her Tarzan call. It's almost as famous. And then at the end of the show, the lights come up and the guy comes back and asks me to come backstage. And they kept saying to me, all of our tech people, she doesn't do this. Congratulations. She never does this. She never does this. And I thought, oh, you're just being nice. So I got to meet her, got to talk to her husband. We had a nice conversation about creativity and about living your truth and about she thanked me for my passion. I'm bawling, got my picture taken with her. And then I came back home and I looked, and to this day, go ahead, search on the internet and see how many people you can see taking a picture with Carol Burnett and a fan. I'm like one of maybe five. So
Wow. That is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's it.
That
That's-
was a great diversion. Talk about toxic culture then,
okay,
or
so
healthy culture.
well, I had the unique. I've had a very unique life in that I have been, as a speech therapist, who travel to many buildings.
Uh,
So even within my own culture, I've traveled to several buildings in a day. And then with this public speaking, is you've been in a million buildings
mm,
with that. And I can tell you that heavy, how do I want to say it? You can tell if there isn't, if there's a hierarchy, if the leadership at the top is you will do it my way or the highway, you're
mm,
in trouble from the get-go.
I think so.
So, yes. And so it's gotta be, I always say, leadership is not dictatorship. If truly, if you are making someone feel and look as good as you, then that's the best thing you can do. And the same thing, if we take it back to, and then also just don't poke the bear. We also can agree to disagree. Like, that, look at the 80% of good in people. If you have 20% that you do not agree with someone, especially over the holidays or when you're spending time and that kind of things, like just take a look at the 80% that is good. And I do think that there's also toxic positivity, which I don't care for either. I think that's another part of it. People can see through this when people aren't being genuine.
Absolutely.
And that's almost worse than that sort of staying under somebody's thumb.
Yep.
It's like I just get icked
Ick,
out when I
ick.
can,
It's ick.
it's
Right.
an ick.
And being in schools, I watch kids. I used to think, Peggy, that I would have about a 2 year window in working with youth because I thought you'd reach a certain point and you can't relate. Kids are the ultimate forgiving audience. They don't care as long as you're you. If they feel you're genuine, you like them, it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, how old you are, they'll accept you, but they can spot a phony a million miles away, right?
And I think it's also a really good reminder that they are so locked into developing a community in that age. Adolescence is all about that herd mentality, that they are going to also protect their own. Even they will protect the ones that they wouldn't normally protect.
That's true.
So if you can tap into that, think about it. When I think back to my teenage years, it was all about how are you going to be in this group. And if you can tap into that feeling with a group of kids and say, you are your own agents, all of you in this room have potential to build an incredible culture in your school, in your wherever, by simply being genuine and vulnerable a little bit, and then celebrating each other's small successes. I think that too. We wait for these huge successes instead of, oh, I'm sure this happens to you too, in those moments when a kid does do something, you just want to jump up and down right then and
Mhm.
there, be like, yep.
Mhm.
So,
When you were doing your little chicken thing or whatever with the circle, there were two girls and they were the ones who I thought were going to be glued to their seat. They were very much joined at the social hip. And when they got up and started squawking and doing stuff, I walked in the circle and just high-fived them. And I don't think people saw, and they're like, yeah, this is fun. And I'm like, you made a decision to join the larger group. The momentum was to join. There's a moment, right, where the momentum goes from I'm going to look silly too. Everybody's looking silly. And you can feel the ball just rolling down the hill.
I think it's important to discern, though, that I try and bring it up very clearly to groups that I present with because they're putting their trust in me, that I'm not there to make them comedians or even to make
No,
comedy. Not at all. And I think that's very important. That's a hurdle that I have to overcome with when people want to hire me or when I go into a group, is I have to make it very clear that is not my end game at all. Are we going to be entertained? Are we going to be shocked, like in the good way? Like that was silly or I was fun. No, I use my training as a comedian to train other people to push their own boundaries, to get a little uncomfortable. And if that ends up feeling or being silly, so be it. But it also can be very quiet and powerful and serious. Improv isn't just comedy. I've used improv for dramatic purpose as well, too, to just, I said, get people being comfortable being uncomfortable. And you're the support system behind that. I'm going to give you a way to be uncomfortable so that when you come back to your comfort zone, it's a little wider.
and then what we do, right, is the natural follow-up to that is let's talk about how you're feeling. Let's talk about what you're doing. And y- Kids today are, like you mentioned, they're struggling with mental health big time. And it's not, oh, poor thing. They are really, if you ask them, they'll tell you this is a huge issue in every single school I go into. The data that the day that we were there showed seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in the surveys they took in the entire county that the lowest amount was 41%. All the way up to half of them had experienced some mental health episode, whether it's depression or anxiety in the last year. And talking about it in connections and dealing with it with humor or creativity is part of the cure.
Right. Yes. And also acknowledging that it is. I think that my age and some is this subgroup of people that will be like, oh, the kids just need a bigger
Yes,
backbone or
right,
toughen up.
right.
They did not grow up. Those people saying that did not grow up with social media and all that goes along with that. And just the constant feedback. The even now, like the difference in their parents can check their grades in the middle of the day.
Mhm.
There's no space that they are navigating personally, whatever, that can't be big brothered a little bit. And I can't even imagine because I have my days where I just want to stay away completely from the rest of humanity too. And that's a lot trickier to do now. And I do think that's very real. And I do think it is also paired with us as a society creating a culture where you can't do something wrong or you're going to be mocked or ridiculed. And so then that shuts people down from even trying, opening up to something new. And I think of, and you probably too, but I think about how incredibly rich my life is because I am willing to take that step forward and have it go wonderfully and possibly horribly.
What a great segue because that's also some of what you wrote about. You also wrote a book a few years ago, right?
I did. I did. Just because you brought it up. So I
Please
have,
do.
yeah, so there
And
it
we'll put
is.
a link so you can get it. It's a great little
Well,
book. It's
okay,
great.
here is a prime example. Here is a prime example of what we started with today when you talked about where does creativity come, and I said you have to start with what you care about. When I say to you that once I publish this, it does not live rent free in my head, meaning like I wrote it only because it, I always do this when I talk about it. This book has been knocking at the back of my head for a good 25 years. Like I came up with the idea like 25 years ago. And so the premise is that the concept of what if some like sixth graders ish, 10, 11, 12-year olds got to live at school. And what would you do if you got to go in school? The rules are you can't make somebody else's job miserable. You can't destroy anything. You can't vandalize anything. You can't, but you can do all the stuff that as a kid you wish you could do. Go in the teacher's lounge, run in the halls. That's ultimately, it's there during the day. Don't run in the halls for safety. But when there's nobody in the school, who cares if you book ass? Book it down.
It's
If you
fine.
if you
Yeah.
book down the hall, who cares? And so what happened is I came up with that idea based on two things. I came up with the idea because I think it was years ago, Denmark schools built their public library in their high school. And I thought that was just a really great use of multi-use space. And then I also, as part of my job, I go around to private schools to give speech therapy. And I'm not a giantly religious person, but I think it's called like the rectory where the religious workers would live. Like, I think that's what that's called. And that idea of, okay, they live at church, right? Those humans are living at church. What would that be like? And I wrote the book with that in mind. And so many things. It took me 10 to 15 years to write it because I kept getting stuck in my own stuff. I kept questioning my own stuff, all of it. How do I write this? And then I got stuck with whose voice is it coming from?
Mm.
And once I finally got over myself and also got so sick of it being in my head and just put it out there, I I love having it. I've reread it a few times. But I think my message here is if you're going to do this, if you're going to do something like this, you're going to call this creative, and you're going to put it out there for other people's admiration or other people's, then it's the wrong reason. Like I did this for me, 110% just for me. And I will be the first to also admit, I cannot figure out how to actually get paid from Amazon. I'm not kidding. not kidding, have no idea. I think I've maybe made like, because they take 90% of everything or whatever. So I think I've made maybe $10 on this book. I don't care. I don't care.
Let's
So
see if we can get you a couple more bucks. The book is called,
Sydney owns the school.
pardon me?
Sydney, like
Okay.
my daughter, Sydney
Oh, okay.
owns, I don't know, is that
And your
backwards? It might be
daughter's name
backwards.
is also.
Sydney,
So
yes.
when
Those
you
are her
were
real feet. That's her real feet.
now, I've met Sydney and but did she know while you were writing it, you were writing it, and did she know did she know that she's in it?
That's that's her handwriting. I actually
Mhm.
had her write it out. Like the actual title of the book is in her handwriting.
So families have to get over themselves as well, right?
This book is ultimately about family dynamics. It's
Yes.
ultimately about Sydney and her twin brother, which are again false. She does not have a twin brother
That you know
that I know of. No, I don't think so.
of.
And it wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Oh, I don't know. You weren't that out of it.
So anyway, it's ultimately about a family and working through how to manage family members who can drive you up a wall, but you also still love, and then also managing a bully in school and his
Yeah.
backstory. The bully's backstory is in here too.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was such a great topic for Thanksgiving as well. I'll ask you one more question and we'll let you go with this. I've watched you take a group of people who don't know each other, and in the time it takes to do a short workshop session, they become a team. It's no secret that we're split as a culture right now. Not that you're the be all, the end all, and you're not going to go on Nightline tonight or anything, but what do we need to do to come together as a culture, in your opinion?
recognize that we are, I think, same to like recognizing that somebody might be having a tough day when they walk into your workshop, recognizing that we are divided, like just recognizing that, like saying, yep, I have a couple of friends who have dumped friends because of their political views, and I refuse to
Yeah.
do that. I just, again, back to that 80%. Have I had some pretty heavy conversations and some pretty heated conversations with people? Yes. But I do think that recognizing I took a cultural competence workshop years ago, I think in mid 90s. And the guys that taught that kept talking about the way that power gets so consolidated is by splitting the majority of
Yeah.
people.
Right.
And has stuck with me. So find anything that you can be mutually excited about, respectful of, anything. I just think that we do have to start. And this is me too. I am somebody who I have this luxury because of being retired. I read all leaning. I purposely go out and I read things on the political spectrum that I completely disagree with, just so I can hear. Same way, I said this when we were together with the kids. I have no reference point of growing up with this sort of social media stuff. And
Mm.
I have no reference of what that's like to be a teenager dealing with any of that. How else am I going to learn? You have to go sit and talk with them. You have to
Hmm.
like, you have to, you don't have to walk a mile in their shoes, but you got to be willing to try them on. And I think that's it. I'll be the first one to tell you that my ex-husband and I have been divorced for almost 15, 16 years now. And we happily hold Thanksgiving together because we have a shared joy, our daughter, like full stop. And by doing that, by simply putting that mindset in that I am going to find the things that connected us in the first place and celebrate those things because those things still exist. He's an extremely funny individual. He's extremely bright. He treats our daughter like very well. I cannot complain about any of those things. To walk in to a holiday, just giving yourself that self-talk a little bit of, yeah, okay, there's things we'll never agree on. Who cares? For 80% of this,
Yeah.
we celebrate. Can we celebrate what we did do right and what we are doing right and how we can go forward and do right? Yes.
Awesome. Celebrate what you got going for you and don't yuck the yum.
Yes. Yeah. I can't let you go without saying thank you for inviting me, but I cannot tell you how much I enjoy watching you present and how
Oh,
much
that's nice. Thanks.
I enjoy everything that you do so much. And I cannot tell you how much our ongoing, what, me, you, Chris, and I have what? We've
Mhm.
got to have 20 years and 20 years of shared.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of our connections and our emails in between and our inside jokes and all of that stuff. I love it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's one of those things that happens when you're building a healthy culture, and it's great. We'll see if we can sell you a couple of books because we're going to put links to that on the podcast. It's really great, and I love it. It's a Thanksgiving book for crying out loud.
It really
Peggy,
is. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's like, and if you can read it in one day, it's really not,
yes,
it's
I
not
did.
heavy. It's not heavy at all. So
For those of you listening and watching, we hope you find gratitude, humor, support wherever you are. As always, thanks for joining us. Be safe, and if you're listening to this on this day that we publish it, happy Thanksgiving.